Kia ora koutou. Finding My Reo, a collective journey of connection and transformation. I don't have any flash PowerPoint presentations. I wrote this the other day, but it's from my heart. I recently embarked on a journey of self-discovery to find my reo, my voice. Not just the one that you can hear today, but my inner voice. My reo was more than what I listen to, but also what I hear and how I hear it. Like the stories my grandmother used to tell us as tamariki when we were sleeping top and tail, and the emotions they provoked. Our reo was our past and our future. My reo was more than what I touch, but also what I feel. Like the warm embrace of whānau. It is fear, sadness, disdain, love and happiness. It is more than what I smell. It is the memories I have of freshly baked bread. We spent hours preparing for our manuhiri. Our reo was more than what I taste, like the memories my taste buds remember of yesteryear, of my father and I setting our net early in the mornings and eating fresh flounder at the kitchen table. It is the passing down of knowledge to sustain our whānau. Our reo was more than what I see, but my perspective of how I see myself, how others see me, and it is the opposite of both. It is also the unseen. So what is my reo? My journey to claim my reo was much more than language. It is the holistic embodiment of all my senses, it is my identity, and it is my connection to my whakapapa. Part of my reo journey was to write a rangahau piece, which I entitled My Personal Confrontation with Xenoglossophobia of Te Reo Māori. I know that's a pretty big word, I googled it. I spent hours looking for that word, then days trying to put the title together. I wanted it to mean something. I contemplated and I deliberated like a lawyer sifting through a thesaurus, trying to make it sound really flash. I wanted it to describe how I felt and what I wanted to achieve. Upon reflection, I realised I had framed my kaupapa with a negative stigma before I even started. I started with a negative connotation in search for a positive outcome, and I wanted to, it was very dramatic, rise from the fiery flames like a phoenix, or a caterpillar emerging from a cocoon. I am quite a dramatic person. What this journey was really about was my search to find the confidence and the courage to confront my reo and other internal barriers, and were there others that shared my inhibitions. So did my rangahau help me to find my reo, my voice, my Te Reo Māori, myself, and did it shine a light on the pathway to move forward? It did. Education has been my vehicle for change. I entered, tertiary education in 2016, and man, I've been going pundy. It's helped me to quench my thirst and feed my hunger. My question now is, where to from here? During my mahi I was surprised, I was reminded and I was compelled. I reached out to see if others were willing to share their experiences. Within half an hour, I had 30 people wanting to be part of my mahi. Unfortunately, the surprising thing was only 2 were willing to go the distance. I found there were feelings of shame and fear that they would be outed. My desire to dig deeper into this was halted by their hurt. I could relate to every single one of them. I was also reminded I'm a 46-year-old woman of New Zealand Māori and Cook Island Māori descent who works for a Māori tertiary organisation and can't grasp my reo. I knew only too well how others felt. I knew I needed to refocus and shift my mindset. I recalled my memories of my father and I setting our net. This was more than just fishing. This was my father's way to pass down knowledge. I needed to cast my net, one which captured new learnings, new knowledge, new strategies, and move forward. Ka pai. I was compelled. At this point, if I didn't continue any further, it was sufficient to say there were others in the same position as me. I reflected again and started to reframe the importance of My Reo, my relationship with My Reo, which was my inheritance from my father and my mother and my grandmother, and so on and so on. It is not only a way to be heard, but a way to carry on their voice. That is my responsibility, and to shape the voices for our future, for their tamariki, for their grandchildren. What does it mean for us to reclaim and reshape our reo? This is a decision we all need to make. During my mahi, I produced a wellbeing framework, which I use for self-awareness and a lens for removing roadblocks in my reo journey. I named it Ngā Pika o Te Oranga, or the branches of wellbeing. It has connections of mātauranga Māori and is adaptable for individuals, whānau, hapu and iwi, and is still a working model. Ngā Pika o Te Oranga was informed by literature, life learnings and experiences, pūrākau, Māori and non-Māori frameworks and models of practice, and the conversations I had. From the screeds of information I collected, I admit the richness of my model was largely informed by pūrākau and kōrero. Although they were few, they were powerful and thought-provoking. My only regret is that a lot of the kōrero that I had was too sensitive to share. The warmth and pūrākau and their experiences of their past emphasised my need for emotional and cultural nourishment, which is embedded in our reo and connections. During this process, I grinned, I cried, I'm a crier, I cringed, I laughed and I smiled. At this point, despite submitting my rangahau, I have realised after the fact, while it looks nice, it's a working model and an evolving model. I will continue to work on it in my reo. It does, for me, opens the conversation about finding my reo, a conversation I hope can help others to navigate their own reo journey. I now point to my model, which has a rākau in the centre. It represents whānau, whakapapa, rongoa Māori and holistic wellbeing. The 12 branches that surround the rākau each represent common themes that frequented my rangahau. They represent, accidentally, they represent an alignment of the imagery of the connection of 12 to our maramataka, spirituality, our tinana, and of time. Time is a constant. No matter where we go in life, it continues onward, unrelenting of individual circumstances. From this, I reflect on the kōrero of one of my interviews who said to me, and I will tell you who it was, even though she wanted to be anonymous, it was my mother. She said, "Your reo will come in time when you're ready, willing and accepting." From this, I am positive with time my perception and relationship with my reo will grow, and admit some things already have. How has this happened? Self-awareness, discovery, confrontation, implementing strategies, learning, experiences, throwing my toys out of the cot, trial and error. I now want to share some of the aspects of my model that I need to be working on, which came to me afterwards, after I had supposedly finished it. I realised I had a clear purpose, but it was the journey of developing the model that proved to be truly valuable, the process itself, the act of modelling, which was really interesting to me. I had a solid grasp of what I knew, but I didn't venture into the unknown. I gravitated towards the familiar rather than embracing the unfamiliar. My focus was on the action, the doing, and aligning those to my purpose rather than challenging them. Only after the fact did I find myself questioning it. Reflecting on this, I understand now that my response is to continue working on it. If we can all take a moment to reflect, what is one barrier that holds you back in finding anything, your reo, what have you, and what is one small step that you can take today to overcome it? I now refer to the words of Vin Jiang. The voice that you have right now, you would refer to as your natural voice. It's not your natural voice. Your natural voice you lost around 2 to 3 years old. The voice you have now is what's known as your habitual voice. It's just a series of habits you've picked up along the way based on the people you're inspired by. If you're inspired by Mum, and Mum had a very strong voice, then you would have a strong voice. If you had a teacher that had a very soft voice, you would have a soft voice. So you adopt that speaking habit. So what can we get from this? Surround ourselves with people who inspire us to normalise what and who we want our reo to be, our voice to be. If you want to find your reo, explore what it is you want it to sound like and surround yourself with those people. I end on this note. I'm a 46-year-old woman of Māori, New Zealand Māori, Cook Island Māori descent who works for a Māori organisation and can't yet grasp my reo, but on the other hand, I'm a 46-year-old woman of New Zealand Māori and Cook Island Māori descent who works for a Māori organisation who has many, many opportunities to surround myself with people who inspire me. I leave you all with two final questions. What is your reo and how does it represent where you've been, where you are and where you are going? Ka pai.